Hi, everyone. It's Kate Francis, your host for It Is What It Is, or Is It? Welcome, new listeners. I know we have some because I've had some subscriptions. And you know the subscription is free. So just push that subscribe button and you're in. So it's not hard to do. And I do thank you for joining. I hope you'll enjoy it. We have a good community going on here. The last podcast you heard and saw her on YouTube was Tracy Jones, the humorist, and she is wonderful. Well, I'm going back to some way back in 22, 23, going back to some older podcasts to refresh your memory of some that I know had really good reviews and actually I think need refreshing. And so I decided to do that on a couple of them here and there. So today, especially having just finished an interview with Tracy Jones, my topic is humor is healing. Could it come better at a better time? So with that, let's get on with it. Humor implies an ability to perceive the ludicrous, the comical, the absurd. Things just make you laugh or find humorous. And in human life, we need humor, right? And we do have it if we look for it and if we give it too. And this is, if you have that humor, then sometimes when things aren't going so great, you can perceive them differently. You don't have to be angry or bitter or mean-spirited because you've kicked out the humor in it. Do you know almost everything has some humor in it? Doctors and mental health professionals cite numerous studies that show that laughter actually contributes to positive health outcomes. They show that, if somebody has a sense of humor, they will actually heal maybe faster as well because it just affects people positively. Your whole body is affected. When I'm laughing, by the way, they say you lose weight. I haven't learned that to be so true, but because I laugh a lot, but they say you do. It burns calories. The other thought is it protects us. You never think of humor as protecting us, right? But it really does, because there's times when, like, say you start to see somebody fall. In your brain, this could be serious. So your reaction is fear. And a lot of people cover it up with laughter. So don't feel bad if you laugh in a funeral or if you laugh when you see somebody fall who doesn't get hurt. Understand that what you've done is your initial thought is, oh my goodness. And that's how you relieve some of that feeling. Regardless of your situation or your circumstances, humor is a huge stress reliever, and it can lessen any kind of emotional pain. When you are laughing hard enough to bring tears to your eyes, and I laugh a lot like that, those endorphins, they are at work and they are producing painkillers. Did you know that? Actual painkillers. Laughter can also improve your quality of sleep. Laughter exercises your diaphragm. Now, I did not know that until I researched that. And it stimulates your lungs, that I knew, as you take in more oxygen. So depending on the condition you may have, or a surgery that you may have undergone, you might have to breathe in and out of a tube, right? To increase your oxygen and expand your lungs. So keep in mind, while you're laughing, you are expanding your lungs, which is great. I want to give you some more credibility to what my topic is today. And that's because I'm going to talk about a well-known journalist named Norman Cousins. He was born in 1915. Cousins was known in the literary circles as a longtime editor of the Saturday Review and wrote the famous article titled Anatomy of an Illness as Perceived by the Patient. Fabulous book. He wrote about his personal experiences in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is a rare thing that they published it because that isn't the type of article that they would have published, especially by a layperson. At a later date, Cousins also wrote the book, The Healing Heart. Cousins had a severe, life-threatening disease of the connective tissues that came upon him, and it's called degenerative collagen illness. And he was hospitalized in 1964 with this illness. It's severe pain, very severe, high fevers, and near paralysis of the legs, the neck, and the back. With the severity of his diagnosis, Cousins decided to buck the odds and felt he had a good chance to recover by using what he believed to be a powerful drug called laughter. He was known for this, by the way. So flat on his back in the hospital, he persuaded the nurses to read, excerpts from humor columnists. He then asked them to bring in television so he could watch Candid Camera. Remember that show? When you laughed at people that fell, it's just a thing you do. And also, the Marx Brothers, you wouldn't remember them. I hardly remember them, thank goodness. But they're there. They were three men and they were hysterical. Maybe two. That's how much I remember. Okay. So Cousins said, and I quote, "It is quite possible that this treatment, like everything else I did," which doesn't mean he didn't have medical treatment, "also was a demonstration of the placebo effect." Do you know what a placebo effect is for anyone who doesn't know? That's when you be given something that's not really it's not medicine. It's like an aspirin or something like that. But the person thinks they're getting medicine and all of a sudden they feel better. And that's why they call it a placebo. And so he thought laughter was like a placebo. He said laughter's powerful. We all have that in us if we want to. And so I was greatly elated by the discovery that there is a physiological basis, for the ancient theory that laughter is good medicine. Norman Cousins, by the way, did recover. He went on to live a busy life and productive life until he died in 1990. Remember, he was born in 1915. I urge you to read an article about Cousins written by Don Colburn. You can find it back because it was written in 1986, October 21st, in the Saturday Review. Given the research and discoveries, very few people would question the benefits of the laughter. It's certainly not the ones that are researching it. But it's important to realize that laughing is not a replacement for doctors or medicine. It's by far not a cure-all, but it is a positive attitude and an action that a patient can take to do their part in healing process. And I think that's amazing. They say those that have a sense of humor and those that release their stress go into surgery and have much better results. Positive people always have better results. By laughing, you are increasing antibody-producing cells and enhancing the effectiveness of T cells in your body. These cells act like a defense army to combat illness, the T cells. So here are a few known facts to be true about laughter. 1, if only for a short period of time, laughter can give you relief from sadness and let you cope more effectively with grief. 2, laughter loosens every muscle in the body. In fact, did you know it takes more muscles to frown than it does to smile? And 3, humor can take the sting out of what otherwise might be emotionally painful. 4, finding the humor in something that is not necessarily funny. Well, I've said it earlier, like seeing somebody run into a mirror, and all of a sudden you start laughing because they're not hurt. So I talked about that. It can cover up fearful reactions, is what I'm saying. 5, laughter can release tension during a difficult situation, such as, I think I mentioned this already, such as laughing at funerals. And I know that sounds ridiculous and you don't see much of it, but that is how some people cover the pain they're feeling. 6, humor can bring lightness into any situation unless it's used negatively or used to shut someone down. That kind of humor is not humor. That's painful and it's sarcasm. 8, remember the TV show Candid Camera that I mentioned that Cousins wanted brought into the hospital? You laughed until you cried. And some of the most nonsensical scenarios that involved unaware people that had been set up. And when they saw the camera and realized, they started laughing at themselves when they found out that they were the person they had on camera. And so those folks came apart laughing at themselves when that happened. And that brings up a valuable point, the ability to laugh at yourself, even in adversity. More importantly, in adversity. And the best type of humor comes from a secure, self-confident person who can laugh at themselves and enjoy laughter of others. They don't have to be the full show. These folks bring laughter to boring situations or diffuse a situation that might go bad. And you know what? People enjoy being around lighthearted people, people that have a sense of humor. Not everybody has. I don't think I have the greatest sense of humor, but I do laugh a lot. But, some people are very quick-witted, and that's an art. I really think that they've been blessed. That I think that was a gift they got because they can like that, and you're just rolling. So, but to be light and to be able to laugh and to be able to see the humor instead of taking everything so seriously, especially yourself, good thing. Good for your body, good for your emotional well-being, and good for the brain. The worst type of humor is when it's delivered at the cost of someone else or the motivation to embarrass or humiliate another person. There's nothing worse than that. That's not humor. That is just plain wrong, mean, and never appreciated for any reason. You can't pass that off as, I was only joking, which a lot of times they do. It's never appreciated because really, it's not funny. It takes a very insecure, often an angry person or unhappy person to use that kind of humor. Just as you can't tell a person to relax when they're in the middle of a panic attack and it's full blown and they're hard to breathing and you say relax, that's not going to go anywhere. And get a brown paper bag and have them breathe in and out of it if you're with them alone. You don't say relax because that just gives them more panic. But you can't focus on the negative part of what's happening and you're not laughing, but you're going to be saying with a smile, you're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Just breathe and you start to help them through it. Humor also, when it relates to the brain, it's a surprising fact that it improves memory retention. I'm going to have to laugh 24/7. I tell you, I can think of it today and not think of it tomorrow. And I'm not going to chalk that up to having gray hair. I'm going to chalk it up to just being too busy. And but it might have to do with the gray hair too. I can't overlook that. That's what you call being objective and honest with yourself. All right, social humor, what a wonderful icebreaker. It's wonderful. It can set the tone in your audience like you wouldn't believe. It's wonderful way to communicate with people. It's helping you be authentic and open and honest. And this way you're making more human and good, solid social relationships. In fact, you can be a speaker, and if you bring humor and connect with that audience, you'd be surprised that you might end up with some relationships out of your audience that you never expected you run into, and they remember. I'm going to tell you a quick personal story that happened to me. This was many years ago, before I had much experience as a speaker, and I was asked to speak before a large group on the challenges of women in the workplace. Well, as I was being introduced by the MC, who was giving me this wonderful introduction, and the more wonderful he was making it sound, the more nervous I was getting, because I couldn't know if I could live up to what he was saying. He also brought a little tiny box, and he stood it by the podium because the microphone was attached to a podium, and he recognized that I was short, and he knew I wouldn't reach that mic. So he put the box there. How kind. This way my audience could see me. So I walked ever so dignified, telling myself, you can do this, in my brain. And onto the stage I went and stepped up on the nice box. And the box wasn't that long, but I could reach I saw what they wanted me to do because I could reach the mic and the audience could see me. So after my thank you, and after thanking the audience for being there and how happy I was to be with them, I took a step to the right, and both the box and I toppled over to the floor with the box on top of my legs. I was not in a very good position or dignified, whatever. And there I am. You talk about embarrassing moment. I haven't even started the speech. I'm not graceful to begin with. You wouldn't call me Grace Gazelle. Not at all. Well, I had no choice. This was so embarrassing. I had no choice but to let that MC pick me up, get me back on my feet. My other choice would have been I've been crawling on all fours. So that wasn't a good way to go. So there I am, and I'm trying not to laugh, actually. And the audience is silent. Let's face it, they saw me fall from a distance. They got that feeling inside. This could be serious. As I'm going down, they're already thinking, is she going to hit her head? Is she going to break out from alarm? Is she going to hurt? What's going to happen to this poor woman? But they're probably some of them laughing quietly because I don't know what I look like. So before turning to my audience, I quietly asked if I could have a hand mic. I didn't want to get back up on that box again. And sure enough, they took away the box and they brought the hand mic, and I got in front of the podium, and I felt so much better. And I said, how did you like my icebreaker? They cracked up and we laughed. It took a few minutes for everybody to quiet down before I could even start. Well, in them laughing with me, I divided my speech, and I was so afraid because I wasn't that experienced yet in public speaking. And so you see, something that was so embarrassing and really not nice and fun, to say the least, it worked out because I just started laughing at myself. And the minute I started to laugh and told them that was my icebreaker, I had my audience, and they were wonderful, and all went well. So I end my podcast today with a quote by Bianca Rodriguez. There is something sacred about humor. If you can laugh at yourself, then you can forgive yourself. And if you can forgive yourself, you can forgive others. Isn't that a great, wonderful? I love that quote. So remember, keep your faith, never give up hope, and know when to let go. God bless, and thank you. In the next podcast, I'll be looking forward to. Bye-bye.